GDKPs, gold sellers and botting. The streets of Azeroth are riddled with the world's worst criminals, con artists and illegal contraband. But just how far does this nefarious underworld go? How far has this sinister plague infected itself into the World of Warcraft community? Well, it is much more than you think. The systematic exploitation by the means of illicit practices that are blatantly against terms of service has near destroyed entire server economies. The World of Warcraft is now a world ruled by a mafia of merciless gold exploiters. It has changed the game forever. And now with the WoW token in the game, the scene is even worse. Join me as I go undercover into this underworld to expose the true dark, unchecked side of the classic WoW community.
Turn it off, it's bloody freezing.
The GDKP is a loot system with a very simple concept. It stands for Gold Dragon Kill Points and evolved from the DKP system. Instead of bidding points that you've earned in your guild, you bid gold for certain gear pieces. All the gold then pulls together into a pot that gets shared between every raid member. This concept has been around for much longer than most people think, since there were in fact GDKP runs in EverQuest before WoW was even released, and it has been very popular in the Korean MMO scene for a long time. In Classic WoW it became much more popular and standardised towards the end of Classic between Blackwing Lair and Naxxramas, because at first the reputation of the GDKP had a bad smell about it. People used to feel scummy about joining a GDKP run, and people who ran GDKPs were seen as bad members of a community. But when players realised that it's boring and takes too long to farm gold, the GDKP became more and more accepted in the community, particularly as the audience of Classic WoW is very different to the audience of the original Wrath of the Lich King. Back in the day, we were able to smooch off our parents, play World of Warcraft 16 hours a day and eat a diet solely of pot noodles and Monster energy drinks, and feel absolutely fantastic. Now as the audience of World of Warcraft on the majority has reached an older age, they have less time and more responsibilities. It's crazy how much people in my Twitch chat actually have children. I mean, who the hell would want to even do that? I mean, why raise children when you can raise your passes? My point is, most players have less time now to sit and just farm gold, hence why the GDKP has become such a big part of the game. But just how big has the GDKP scene become? Well, luckily I've been able to interview what I can only describe as the Grand Emperor of GDKP's, Zyus, who runs the Stacks GDKP Discord. This is essentially a GDKP network that runs on a Feralina server, the biggest US server. One irritating thing about having to join GDKP runs, or PUG in general, is having to constantly sign up on Google Sheets to multiple runs. The idea behind this server is that it's a network that every raid leader and guild leader who runs GDKPs can use to bring everyone together, so there's just one big epicenter where people can join and make GDKP runs. This is the place where GDKPs are at their absolute peak. I've been given access to Google spreadsheets to look at the kind of pots that groups are ending up with. As you can see, the pots are utterly mental. The biggest I can see here is 1.5 million gold. Divide that by 25 and it's a 60,000 gold split. But obviously 10% will very likely go to the raid leader, so the raid leader is going to get 150,000 gold to himself. I don't know about you guys, but I don't think I've even made that amount of gold during my whole time playing Classic WoW. And half of these pots are over 1 million gold. This will be a full Ulduar 25-man run doing all of the hard modes. This is obviously where the richest WoW players are coming to spend their gold. I mean, people are spending over 200,000 gold on single items like leg plates of the Endless Void and Comet's Trail. As you can see here, this is a leaderboard of over top dog spenders. The guy at the top has spent a total of 3 million gold in GDKPs. That's roughly the value of $5,000. It has become so desirable now to join these GDKP runs that there's now a monopoly on making groups in the Discord. Because there's so much people wanting to join and make groups, there's simply just too many to put onto the Discord. So if you want your group to stand out, to buyers, You will have to pay to highlight your group in the Discord at varying rates starting at $30 per day. This will give you the featured raid leader badge in the Discord to help you stand out. So what's essentially happening here is guilds and raid leads are paying real money in order to get bigger gold spenders into their GDKP groups. There's a real money method in order to optimize the best GDKP runs to maximize the amount of gold a run is going to have. And since many GDKP leads actually sell gold, they probably end up making their money back anyway. Now, although many GDKP runs are made by guilds to essentially gear up their characters faster, because what they do is they pull together loads of gold, give it to their members, send them off into multiple different GDKPs, and if you think about it, they're going to have so much money that they can just buy all of the gear in the raid and be like fully geared straight after the patch is released. And then the top guilds will come together to work on achieving world record passes and speedruns. But many GDKP leaders are in fact selling their gold. Now, Zayas and the Stacks Discord has an absolute zero tolerance policy for raid leads selling their gold or advertising it in the Discord. I don't want to paint this Discord in a bad light because they have absolutely nothing to do with gold selling. Zayas' profession essentially is being a Discord designer. He's made a little bit of a hustle by making really good Discord channels. But unfortunately, many GDKP leaders are selling their gold on the side, especially as one GDKP run can get you around $500 if you're selling on the side, not involving a third-party middleman website. I know for a fact that many raid leads on my server are definitely doing it. I challenge you to pretend to be interested in buying gold and ask some GDKP raid leads. One of my long-term viewers has been running GDKP since the dawn of Classic and has told me that people are constantly asking him if he sells gold. He doesn't, but it just goes to show how big of a thing it is. And also you have to think, where on earth is this gold coming from? Are people really sitting on their PCs farming 3 million gold? Of course they're not. These GDKP runs are essentially absorbing gold bought from gold sellers that is farmed by bots, and then this gold is being redistributed into the server economy through GDKPs. So the economy is built by gold farming bots, people buy this gold and then spend the gold in GDKPs where the gold is snowballed and dispersed into the player base. There's no wonder people don't farm gold anymore, because by joining a GDKP you can essentially obtain the gold that people purchase from bots without spending the money yourself. You just have to join a GDKP. Just before we move on, guys, this video has taken ages for me to make. Like, it's taken a good 2 weeks of research, editing, scripting, yada yada. Because like I've said in my previous Cataclysm video, I want to spend more time and passion into making single videos. I've actually spent quite a bit of money making this video, and I also had to drive an entire hour just to get a perfect 5-second clip for the intro. So if you liked the video, please do subscribe, because that tells me that people are liking these videos, and then I don't have to worry so much about uploading very frequently to appease the YouTube algorithm. So now it's time to go further down the rabbit hole, because we need to find the source of this gold mine. Where and how is this gold farmed and spread into the world? Botting has been a thing in WoW and MMOs for years. In fact, people were botting in vanilla WoW. Now, particularly in World of Warcraft, I think it is more susceptible to getting botted because Blizzard allow the public to edit their LUI code and make add-ons. This makes it much easier for people to make very powerful bots in the game, and the addition of macros in the game also makes it even easier. People probably wonder why new MMOs don't really have add-on support or macros, and this is why. As I speak right now, I've got a level 4 Undead Warrior leveling her way up in Tristful Glades without me even needing to be tabbed into the game. Because I'm not messing about in this video, guys. The only way we can find out how good these bots are is actually installing them and trying them out for ourselves. But don't worry about me getting banned or anything, this very likely won't happen. I talked to a Blizzard CM before starting this project, fully detailing and explaining what I intend to do. She said it's probably not a good idea for me to do this on my main account because I would very likely get banned, but the Blizzard CM has done me a massive solid and given me a free version of Dragonflight Epic Edition and 90 days game time. I didn't even need a Dragonflight key, but you never know, it may come useful in a future video. Now, I do criticise Blizzard a lot, and obviously I will do a lot in this video, but it has to be said, the Blizzard CMs are absolute diamonds. So when I criticise Blizzard, this does not include Blizzard CMs in any shape or form, because they are so generous and so helpful to me and to other content creators when it comes to, you know, working on their project. So I've booted this bot up to do some low level leveling, and I'm astounded on how well it performs. It honestly performs better than most players. I'm getting 8k XP per hour, less than level 5. It is leveling extremely efficiently. It knows precisely where to go and kill mobs, what route to take, where to accept and turn in quest, and I've noticed it does this pathing process where you can see a line being drawn on the screen. This detects the best route so you don't get stuck anywhere. It finds quest items, mobs, NPCs, and everything that you need. It will even go to the class trainer, automatically learn the best spells, and vendor your loot. There are a number of different profiles you can load into the bot software. It's ridiculously easy to do. People in the community also program more profiles and sell them on the website. You can get profiles for dungeon grinding for gold. As we know, many bots right now are farming Botanica, since this is an easy, consistent farm that is instanced. They're gathering profiles to do mining and herbing. Before they reintroduce the level 55 restriction on Death Knights, a lot of bots were simply just making Death Knights and running around Badlands doing, you know, mining mithril, since that was an easy 500 gold per hour. You've also got simple cloth farms and profiles to continuously queue into battlegrounds for XP. With the Joyous Journeys buff active again, you will very likely see this very soon. The bot will even attempt to do PvP to its best of its ability to avoid getting banned. I use the software Benetto. Yes, it's genuinely called Benetto. I wish I was making that one up. But there are other bots out there like BotBro and Orca. They cost around $20, but for some reason they have this hidden fee to make you pay another $20 to unlock the software, apparently, because it won't work on Windows without this unlocker key. It's basically complete twaddle to make you spend more money. I mean, why would an exe installer file just not work on Windows? It doesn't make any sense. And you have to pay that $20 every month in order to continue using the software. It is a bit of a faff to install the software with lots of file editing, but anyone with a semi-decent PC skills could figure it out. I imagine the bigger gold bot farming companies have found ways to crack the bot software and make their own software to farm gold so they don't have to spend this monthly fee. Now you have to imagine that I have spent the money to get a level 70 character boost. In day 1 my character would easily be level 80. And I mean one real-time day, because I will just be able to leave the bot running overnight. The bot also knows how to optimize gold making. For instance, it always returns to a vendor when you run out of bag space. So leveling 70 to 80, you can easily get a decent 3,000 to 5,000 gold. And this is roughly the cost of $6 since gold is so cheap at the minute. At this point, you would have a character now ready to do some gold farming. We have seen in my previous video many bots are grinding TBC dungeons. They essentially clear the dungeon, disenchant greens and blues they get for extra money, and possibly use tailoring to yield more gold from the cloth by selling them as bags. Some will also farm mana tombs, since inside there you can get an extra 100 gold per hour if you have mining. These runs normally yield 500 to 1,000 gold per hour. And they're so well programmed, they will farm gold faster and more efficiently than any human can. So on average, I would say the runs are 700 gold. That's just under 17,000 gold per day. That's roughly $21 per day. So within 3 days, the cost of setting up a new account is covered. And like I said before, the people who were using DK bots to farm mithril in Badlands wouldn't even have to pay this upfront cost of a character boost. Not to mention how you can easily farm the gold on retail for a free month of sub. But at least a WoW token will never come to Wrath of the Lich King Classic. Yeah. Bots don't need to do dungeon runs, they can just buy Saronite ore off the auction house and use the Saronite shuffle method with prospecting to flip 500 gold per hour just sitting in a major city next to an auction house. Now, $21 per day might seem like a small amount. I mean, that will probably barely cover the electricity cost to run a computer. Well, the thing is, these bots can easily be run on multiple different game clients at once, because you can customize the window size of the WoW game client to make it so small that it barely takes up any CPU power. And this is why multiboxing was possible for so long. If you had 5 clients open farming gold, that's $100 per day. Times that by 30 and it's $3,000 per month. Converted to pounds, that's just under 2.5 grand per month. That's 30 grand per year at around £15 per hour. Now, to put it in perspective, my sister actually earns as much, and she's a fully qualified veterinary nurse. And that's just with 5 clients. You can easily run 40 clients at once. People were doing this in the original Classic WoW when they were multi-boxing to wipe raid groups on the way to Blackwing Lair. With 40 clients running, you could make just under 300 grand a year, 24 grand per month, and that's roughly £152 per hour. Not really a bad wage if you think about it. Obviously this would mean you would have to have your PC running 24/7 for a whole year, but still, if you cut that wage in half, it's still insane. You're getting paid more than a doctor or a lawyer. I have heard many anecdotes of gold farmers who in certain countries are making more than doctors, or people who have just done it quickly short term over the course of a few months to buy a car or something. It makes serious money. And we haven't even talked about how people are using fly hacks and other hacks to speed up the process of making gold. It also isn't a requirement yet to two-step verify your account on World of Warcraft, your Battle.net account, so these companies still have the ability to hack accounts, steal the gold and sell it. As long as a bot can make profit before they are banned, bots will continue to exist. The only way to truly mitigate bots is to ban them earlier during their lifetime, ban them before they can make a profit, or increase the running cost, but obviously we don't want to personally spend more money on game time. But I have talked to people who have been able to run bots for months without getting banned. A bot is more likely to get banned if they're caught in the open world and reported by players. But if you're level to max level playing the game normally, and then just bot yourself all inside a dungeon farming gold, you are much less likely to get banned and can run a bot for months. And you're normally only picked up by the big bot ban waves. And you don't even need to do it like that. You can just put a bot into a dungeon to level through dungeons, and then you're just never going to get caught. All of these anecdotes that I've heard from people from my Twitch chat, I'm obviously not going to name and shame, but luckily being a Twitch streamer, you do end up meeting people with experience in these kind of practices. However, luckily very recently, as I was scripting this video, an alleged gold botter and seller has totally opened up to his practices and his process on Reddit. He's been botting and selling since original vanilla, and the glider bot, he claims on average he gets a good 90 days out of one account and runs 25 accounts at once, further also supporting what I've heard from other people and, other sellers. He further goes on to explain how the game's warden system, as he calls it, auto-bans botters. Apparently the warden tech is very outdated, and basically the botters have found ways to, ultimately defeat it and get around it, and there also used to be much more game master assistance when it came to detecting and banning bots, who would get whispers from GMs investigating and deliberately doing stuff to mess around with his characters to disrupt the botting process, and obviously to find out whether he is a bot or not. He used to wake up sometimes and have 10 accounts banned, but now with VPNs of virtual machines it's much easier to not get banned. So this is interesting because it means that botters are running the bots on virtual PCs rather than using it on their own all the time, which obviously cuts down on electricity costs. So people left a lot of questions on this post, and I read through all of the guy's replies, and I'll read out the most interesting ones. He says the GDKPs are a huge source of income for him. The days of the Chinese sweatshop are over, and now there's a big divide of where gold sellers are coming from. Many are from Europe, the States, and other parts of Europe. After getting banned, he can get another account set up within 15 minutes. And he stresses the importance of keeping the gold moving through accounts to prevent an account from getting banned for gold selling or buying. He personally runs 60 bots across 3 machines. He says it is possible to run over 100 bots, but you will need 2 people to manage it all. He also talks about how AI could make bots even better because then the bots can think for themselves rather than follow predetermined parameters and pre-coding. So in the future I wouldn't be surprised if bots become even more intelligent and cause even more damage to the game. The industry of gold selling is much bigger than you think. It expands widely across all of the games, selling various different currencies and different services like arena boosts, raid boosts to get gear, and even power leveling on classic era. For this video, I wanted to focus on gold selling, obviously. So I decided to go ahead and buy some gold on my throwaway account and see what the process looks like. It cost me £3 to get 2,000 gold. Technically 1,900 because I accidentally said my character was on Alliance and not Horde, but luckily the customer service is insanely good on this website. They messaged me before I ever knew there was some kind of issue to adjust the amount of gold that I would receive. The website I used was Overgear. They must be making some serious bank for them to have such good customer service to the point where it's probably even better than Blizzard's. And it took just under 2 hours for the gold to arrive. As you can see, they have cleverly tried to make the purchase less suspicious by writing in the message, here is your cut from a GDKP with a bullet, which is probably the cheapest item that you can buy in the game. Now there's a number of these different gold selling communities and some sellers operate on G2G as well. They claim to have millions of gold available for purchase across all realms. Now I tried to get in contact with these gold sellers, but they are extremely secretive and confidential. As you can see by the DMs, I definitely tried. This makes sense as these companies could easily get sued by Blizzard as they are essentially selling a Blizzard product. It also wouldn't surprise me if they're trying to avoid the tax man like Dr. Alan Grant tries to avoid a T-Rex, just stay still and don't do anything and hope they don't see you. I've actually been applying this technique to a number of my family members and it works quite well actually. But from what I can understand from the website, these gold sellers are more of a middleman company. The days of ramming 50 Chinese sweaty men into an office to play World of Warcraft are over. The practice now is to be more freelance. Anyone can sell their gold to this website, whether you're just a normal player who has some gold left over that you're not using, or obviously something like a GDKP leader. You sell it to the website and then this gold is resold. They say their gold isn't obtained from illegal practices like botting and account hacking, but there's absolutely no way to determine this, especially as I've been told there's an acute practice of gold laundering to take the trace off it. Normally someone will make a throwaway account and make a guild bank to deposit big amounts of gold into, and then it will be dispersed to multiple different people in different accounts. There's definitely a number of ways to avoid getting banned for gold selling and buying. The guild bank method is apparently the best proven method to not get banned when purchasing gold. A number of guilds are doing this in order to get gold for GDKPs because it's just a faster way to gear up, like I mentioned earlier. GDKP raid leaders are also using methods like this to essentially cut out the middleman and sell their gold for a better amount. But don't worry everyone, because now that the WoW token is in the game, it means nobody will ever buy gold on third-party sites anymore, because according to the lead dev of Classic WoW, the token is a proven tool to mitigate RMT. Despite the fact that G2G and basically every other gold buying site is currently undercutting the token by 50%, yes 50%, right now on Gold Mag a WoW token costs £17 and you can get 8.8 thousand gold, or you can get the same amount of gold for £9. Fair enough, since there is now a safe, reliable and legal method to buy gold in the game, less people will use third-party sites. But this helps retailers reduce their running costs. They have hordes of gold lying around on different accounts on every server in the game. Now they can just buy game time with gold and focus more on boosting and loot selling services. This really is like Blizzard throwing a boomerang into their own face. But the thing is, Blizzard already know that. The WoW token is purely in the game to make profit, to make more money from a game they are developing. It's like printing money. They can just add stuff to the game that people will pay for. It didn't require any development cost to implement the WoW token. It's been in the game for years, and even in Classic since it has been data mined years ago. I think there's this huge misconception that the WoW token will fix RMT, but in truth, it really doesn't do anything. In fact, it just further destroys server economies. GDKPs being so popular in the game, there's a huge incentive to buy gold. Blizzard definitely knew this. This is why GDKPs aren't against terms of service and haven't been. They have waited for the concept to blow up, and then they've added a system where people can buy gold for real money. It's genius money making. But we're all getting bent over in the storeroom. The average players are not buying playtime, okay? It takes about 10 to 16 hours to farm enough gold to buy a game token. Or you could work for 3 hours on minimum wage in the UK and have enough money for 2 months of game time. I mean, what are you gonna do? Even when I was a kid and had absolutely no income, I just saved a little bit of my lunch money every week, went to the bank, literally with pound coins, and deposited it into my bank account just so I can play World of Warcraft. The WoW token literally doesn't help anybody apart from gold sellers and boosters who are farming tens of thousands of gold every day. And another obviously bad side effect of the WoW token is how it will inflate the prices of basic commodities like flasks and food. When the average raider has to spend more money just in their average week of raiding, it means they have to do more boring content like gold farming, meaning they are much more likely to just quit playing the game because they can't be bothered gold farming so much. This is why I quit Classic WoW and had a few months break between Blackwing Lair and AQ40. Either that or they will buy gold on third-party sites or the WoW token. Further just exacerbating the economy even worse, and eventually it will be so bad that the genuine gameplay experience of Wrath of the Lich King Classic will simply just be much worse than it should be. There's no other way of saying it, the game will just be worse. And ironically, Blizzard will lose money on subscriptions from people quitting. But obviously that doesn't seem to matter, because if they didn't feel they could make more money from less but bigger paying customers, they wouldn't do it. Many IPs now have this design: make more money from less players, which unfortunately normally results in less quality player experience. This video was supposed to be about the dark side of Classic WoW, an investigation into the industry of illicit practices in the community. But as you can see, Blizzard aren't exactly morally superior to gold selling websites. With the inclusion of a character boost and the WoW token, their practices are literally just as predatory and exploitive as third-party websites. Furthermore, they are aiding third-party websites, not mitigating them, by increasing a player's need to buy gold and allowing third-party sellers to reduce their running costs to better run their industry. Every single gold seller that I've talked to is happy about the WoW token being in the game. The terms of service agreement that they stand on is about as brittle as a politician's backbone. The true dark side of World of Warcraft isn't hidden away within some hidden mafia community operating in the shadows. It's right in front of everyone in plain sight for everyone to see.